We didn't go on vacations. We weren't out of the office in Q4 like a lot of people are, and that I've done in the years past. We were hitting our contact goals. We were measuring how many contacts we were making, how many appointments we were going on. We took a totally different mindset and said, we're going to have the best Q1 we've ever had. And we did. We were here. We were focused. We were in the office at 8 a.m. every day. We were doing things that we weren't necessarily doing before, doing the things that it takes to hit your goals. And we were holding ourselves accountable. And also we had incredible coaches too that were doing the same for us.
All righty. Welcome back to Are You Winning? I am Coach Craig Zuber, and I'm excited. I'm here today with Drew Hopley and Cory Wilson. Both these guys are from Frederick, Maryland. They both run and operate the Live Frederick Group. They've sold just over $51 million last year. Is that right, guys?
That's it.
Yes, sir.
And you've now been partners for how long?
Over 3 years.
Partners for 3 years. Drew, how long you been in the business?
So just over 10 years. We were on a team together before we started the Live Frederick Group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been in business for 10 or been in the real estate industry for 10 years, and Cory, you as well, or?
Yeah, around 6.
Okay. So we got Drew 10, Cory, you've been in it for 6 years.
Yeah.
Now you're partners. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So right now it's 2023. What on earth are you guys winning at right now in the real estate industry?
It's a good question, Craig. I think, right now, I'm sure like a lot of people, we are kind of getting back to basics, because right now just everything feels a little bit harder, feels a little bit more like a struggle. But one thing that we did in 2019, which is really paying off for us, is we've gone hyper local, and we've had more of a focus on our people, our database, our past clients. And we've gone from just having that as sort of a vision to having much more purpose around that. So we started a VIP program in 2022. That's been really great. Our operations team leads that. And now the vast majority of our business, about 70 to 75% of our business, comes from our past clients, our database, and referrals. So I would say that's one thing that we're winning at right now.
I love that. Anything that you want to add, Cory?
Starting with the database, I think we could go all the way back to 2019 when Drew and I attended our first mega camp. The reason we, feel so empowered and feel so compelled to work our database is because Gary talked a lot about building the moat around your database and protecting them with a lot of these outside, companies like Zillow or Open Door, these other companies that are coming to take your database. So we knew at that moment, if we were going to do something and change it for us, we had to build that moat around our database. So we wanted to get hyper local and focus specifically on Frederick and the people here. So that's kind of where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
And what made you guys decide to partner up?
It's a good question. So we were on a team together before. I actually sold Cory his first house, got him into the business, recognized him as talent. We came up with the idea for our brand, which was Live Frederick, Sell Frederick. So like that you would want to live in this great town, and we were going to sell it to people, right? And we started that brand, and we were able to sort of incorporate that a little bit into our business when we were on that team. And then it became apparent that we would need to sort of chart our own course. And that's when we decided to go out together. We have, sort of divergent skill sets, right? So I'm more the sales guy. Cory's more the marketing vision guy. So we thought that our skill sets would complement each other. So that was one of the main reasons. What else?
Yeah, we're just so different. He's fast, I'm slow. So it's a good pair. It's not always, though. I mean, we're not perfect by any means. We butt heads, rocket fuel, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been great. Yeah.
So you guys, 2019, decided to partner up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was just smooth sailing from there.
Absolutely.
Any challenges?
Yeah.
Any lessons, challenges?
Absolutely not. I think, at that time we were two agents just thinking we could do this. We were running our entire database on Excel spreadsheets. We hired our first person. We didn't really take her through the KPA process at the time. We found a coach right away, and I'll never forget that coach was like, "You should probably break up. Your partnerships don't really work out too well." And then we actually asked that coach if she would coach us. And it's like, if you can identify that it's not going to work, maybe you can identify how it will. And again, connecting the dots back, we're here because of everything that led up to this point. So we wouldn't change anything for the world in that regard. We love that person. But yeah, it's just been, we were operating as two agents. We weren't operating as a business. We didn't have clarity on our roles at that time. We didn't, I would say that was kind of the toughest part, if you want to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I think that, it's funny because we've consulted with a lot of people who say, "Oh, I want to get into business or partnership with this person," and we usually end up talking those people out of doing it, right? And I think the reality for Cory and I is, if we weren't great friends, we probably would have broken up 100 times, right? So that's kind of been our foundation. But that first year was a hot mess. And when you connect the dots, kind of looking back on that, it's clear why, and sort of those pain points, which were, a lack of expectation setting, whose job was what, who's managing who. Like, those lessons we still carry with us today, because they were painful in the moment. But you learn more from your failures than your success. That's for sure.
Hey there, I'm Jeremy Herman, CEO and co-founder of ClarityNOW. Listening to this podcast means that you're committed to your career and to growing your business. You're the reason why we created ClarityNOW. You see, ClarityNOW is the real estate software designed to transform real estate agents into business owners. Now, being a great real estate agent is an entirely different skill set than being a great business owner. That's where ClarityNOW can help. ClarityNOW is powerful because some of the industry's top real estate coaches built it. We know what insights as coaches top performers need to grow their business. So, do you have a business plan based on your net profit goals? Do you know how you're performing against your quarterly goals? Do you generate a P&L each month? Do you have the best tools to help your team members hit their goals? Are you managing your company's pipeline and conversion reports? Do you have the data that you need at your fingertips to run a successful business? ClarityNOW can solve all these problems. Visit us at www.claritynowre.com and schedule a personalized tour to learn more. Mention this ad and we'll throw in 1 month for free. Congratulations on your success, and let's take your business to the next level together.
So how long did it take from the time that you guys get together, decide that this is going to be the greatest thing on earth, you two coming together? How long did it take for you guys to actually start to get clear on your roles, your strengths, your overcoming any of these obstacles, so that you could, see clearly and be excited about where you're going?
That's a good question. I think Cory got a MAPS coach. What was that? After family reunion in 2021?
No, it was
2020. Right. So so what was that? New Orleans. Cory got a MAPS coach at that time. And we got really deep with Coach Jeremy at that time with our numbers, right? And really trying to treat our business like a business. And, he, this is a shameless plug, but obviously through ClarityNOW, it was a great thing for us. Our first year of business, our coach was good, because she was like, you need to track your expenses. But when I tell you, we literally had stuff written down on a piece of paper, and we're piecing together this profit and loss that had made no sense to us. That's how we were doing things our first year, to having our business plan in front of us, understanding what our goals and our gaps were, understanding what our budget model was. So 2021 was critical, I think, because Cory started to focus on the operations business piece, which allowed me to focus more on the sales piece. So I would say that was sort of a critical time. And then we did make a lot of mistakes that year as well, particularly around people and talent. And then finally in 2021, we kind of blew that up and hired a new executive assistant, a new buyer agent. And those folks are still with us. Great culture fits. So really things, I think we started to really hit our stride, I think, in 2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share, Cory?
No, that was spot on. Yeah, I think the key there too is, our next hire after we blew everything up took 72 days. We really made sure, we had the right fit and the right foundation for us to build upon. And that was super important. So, I mean, that shouldn't be taken too lightly. That was really important part of where we are now, or the people that we have.
So that was about a 2-year process. You guys come together in 2019 to 2021. Now you're really starting to dial things in. You're going from real estate agent to business owners, tracking your numbers and seeing where the opportunities lie. Maybe hiring through the right process versus just hiring to hire. Anything else?
It's a puzzle.
Yeah, I think the obviously 2021 and was a good year for real estate, right? Like, I think to some degree, we obviously benefited in large part to just what the market was doing, right? So you always kind of pause and think, man, are we succeeding because of this market or in spite of ourselves? Like, what is the reason here? So the thing about 2021 is like we were, theoretically succeeding. But I think that we also developed a lot of bad habits in 2021, right? Like maybe like a lot of people, right? Instead of lead generating, you were lead servicing, right? You were showing houses because there was so much urgency, or writing an offer that you knew couldn't win, right? So the thing about 2021 is we built some bad habits, which we're now trying to dig it back out of and get back to basics. And 2022 caused us to have to do that, right? Because we couldn't just keep going about things the same way, if that makes sense.
So what changes did you make?
Yeah, so 2022, I think right around March, April, that first or second rate hike, Cory and I red shift. That was candidly probably the first time I had red shift. And we got much more purposeful with our lead generation, our morning routine, not deviating from that. And so that was super helpful. Actually, if I can go back for a second, for 2020 and 2021, even though we had good years, we were seeing in our numbers that Q1 always sucked. And at the end of 21, we said to ourselves, we're not going to have another bad Q1. And so we got really purposeful with our lead generation Q4, and we had our best Q1 ever last year, which if we connect the dots looking back, right, Cory, like we did about the same last year as we did in 21. And I think a lot of agents took a step back. And the only reason we were able to increase our volume slightly and do similar units is because of the Q1 we had when the market was actually as well as it was for the entire year. So that was critical.
So when you say purposeful, though, what exactly does that mean? Hey, that's awesome. I got purposeful. But what changes did you make? You said I changed my morning routine. Great. From what to what? And what exactly were you doing in that last quarter that changed the outcome of the first quarter of 2022? What exactly did you guys
on a bumper sticker, Craig? We didn't go on vacations. We weren't out of the office in Q4 like a lot of people are, and that I've done in the years past. We were hitting our contact goals. We were measuring how many contacts we were making, how many appointments we were going on. We took a totally different mindset and said, we're going to have the best Q1 we've ever had. And we did. We were here. We were focused. We were in the office at 8 a.m. every day. We were doing things that we weren't necessarily doing before, doing the things that it takes to hit your goals. And we were holding ourselves accountable. And also we had incredible coaches too that were doing the same for us. But I mean, it's as easy as that. It was just showing up.
It's as easy as that. Well, I think step one was you actually made a decision. Step one was you made a decision that something was going to change. That was the first step. Then you looked at your schedule, because 99% of the time, your schedule is the most important thing, and said something else has to change. So now you start to show up and actually do the work. So you make a decision, now you show up, now you're actually doing the work, where statistically most agents disengage from Halloween to Valentine's Day. You decided to go take market share.
That sounds way better than what I said.
Okay. So during that block, though, you show up in the morning, great. Yeah. I mean, the first step is to show up. Congratulations, you're there. But what exactly were you doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to recall exactly what we were doing at that point. But one thing that we did do is we did start our VIP program in January of that year. So we did call all of our past clients database referral and explain to them what that was. So it's hard to connect the dots. I'd have to actually look in detail at our Q1 and see where all of that business came from. I know that we did have a focus on listings, but I think there is a correlation between those sphere calls that we were really purposeful with making around that new value proposition to the things that were happening, the closings that were actually happening in Q1. The other thing was, I think that we were able to, I think, communicate pretty well some of the urgency around the market conditions, meaning a lot of people were predicting that rates were going to go up. I've been predicting that since 2017, so I'm a genius, right? But we helped, push some clients along in Q1 because of the urgency around the market changes. And obviously, in hindsight, that those folks that bought in Q1, they're probably patting themselves on the back right now. So I think a key lesson there now is that I think there's an urgency in any market. The conversation is changing. Right now the urgency in the market is, hey, it's less competitive. There's opportunities right now. If you were a buyer that was getting beat up, come into this market because this is why it's advantageous to you. So I think a lot of it was around creating urgency with our clients at that time.
Right, because Cory, if I remember right, whether you first broke into the industry or even as soon as 2018, 2019, if you had to make a decision between calling people that you didn't know or people that you didn't know, which one would you have chosen?
Oh, calling people I didn't know.
So you're choosing who I didn't know, right? What about you, Drew?
Yeah, back in 2012 through 14, I would love calling people I didn't know, and the people I did know, the huge, I think, irony of becoming a real estate agent is a lot of people say, oh man, I just want to help my friends and family. But for me, I didn't have the knowledge base or the confidence to say to myself, man, I can help the people that I really know and love. So I was more comfortable calling people I didn't know. And then, finally, when you get that confidence, you're a little bit more comfortable helping those that you know and love. But for my first few years, man, I would hit the phones and call strangers all day before I'd call somebody I knew.
I think that's the most significant piece, right? You guys, the change that has been made is, oh my gosh, we're going to change. So we have a more successful first quarter of that year. We did make that decision. But I think the biggest piece here is that you switched from calling people that you don't know to re-engaging with people that you do. And
That's right.
so
Absolutely,
you do that. You make that change. You make this decision. You start to show up. You're working with potentially other people aren't. Now you're calling people that you do know versus people that you don't. You're inviting them to become a part of a VIP program. And what happens?
So, I think, man, let me just dig into the VIP program for a sec, because I think this is important. A lot of our past mistakes, I think, have been a great idea, right? And then nobody to implement it, right? Ideas are a dime a dozen, particularly for me. I mean, I will drop an idea on Cory and like, you can just predict. He's like, oh, wow, another idea.
Well, Craig, it's only like right before the event, though, that we're about to have for our database. He's like, guys, what if we do this? I'm like, everything's set in stone. We're not touching. We're not moving anything around.
Yeah. So the thing about the VIP program is Cory, from his leadership growth, basically said to Melanie, you're going to own this. And this is your baby. And instead of him telling her how to do it, he gave her a little bit of help. And he said, these are the people that are doing it at a high level. Go figure out what they're doing and duplicate it. Right. And she did that. She did that, to her credit. And the ownership of that not only freed us up to focus on the activities that mattered, but now 14 months later, like this is her baby, like this is her thing, and with that ownership came such a higher level, I think, of care and importance to her. So that was the critical thing. I don't know if that answered your question, but I wanted to say that.
Well, I can tell you that it's one thing to have too many ideas, right? Because too many ideas is like anything else. Clarity comes from a process of elimination, not from addition. So adding more doesn't actually help. Mm-hmm. And then the other struggle is that we execute on ideas versus full-fledged plans. And it sounds to me like with that whole purpose and intention and following up and showing up, that it's like, wait, we actually developed a plan that we can execute on, not just an idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we traced like $300,000 worth of GCI to that program last year. How many people by the end of the year were in it?
North of 50.
Yeah, I think it was like 60 people in the program by the end of the year. So that means.
Can you give us like the 30-second version of what the heck is it? What is a VIP program to you?
Yeah, so it's essentially when someone connects us with someone who's looking to buy or sell real estate, whether it's a conversation, they're thinking about it or they want to do it, within 24 hours, a bottle of champagne with our information on it shows up to the door. Just the act of rewarding. There's no exchange of monetary value or any of that kind of stuff. If the person that they have referred us to agrees to meet with us, before they meet with us, they're in the program. As long as the person agrees to meet with us, they're in the program. Again, so there's no exchange of commission, monetary value, of any of that kind of sort.
There's no rest provider.
Yeah, we make sure to, thanks, coach. Thanks to our coaches. But again, so we make sure that, and again, it's all about the act of rewarding for them thinking of us, because that's how we run our business. We run our business off referrals, people that know us, like us, and trust us.
Yeah. And not only that, Craig, but we're also teaching them how to refer us, right? So we say, hey, like if they say, I got a referral for you, we say, oh, that's awesome. The best way to introduce us is a group text introduction. That way it's off of your plate. We'll take it from there, right? And then once they're in the program, we have 3 private events a year for those VIPs. And they also get a quarterly curated box on their doorstep. Melanie takes a ton of pride in getting local stuff from our local businesses. So, for example, in the summertime, it was a bottle of Old Bay vodka. We're from Maryland. You got some Old Bay. You got some crab crackers. You got a picnic blanket, and people, they actually like that stuff. So the VIP program has been great. I think we can even. There's obviously opportunity to make it even better. But that was a critical part for last year.
I love it. All right. So again, we could summarize this and say we became purposeful and intentional. We switched from people that we don't know to people that we do know. And then not only the people that we do know, now we actually treated them like they're very important people. Right? I'm like, interesting. We're in the relationship business, not the real estate business, right? Relationships first, experiences second, results third. So if you focus on the relationship, you focus on the experience, wow, it's incredible the type of results that you get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much so.
Yeah. And we need that leverage, right? Like we also, I think last year gave a lot more opportunities to our buyer agent because we had a trust with him. And because he's authentic, right? And so I think that's really important kind of when you're hiring is, make sure you're hiring somebody that's a culture fit. Make sure you're hiring somebody that you would be comfortable handing off to your sister, right? Or your mother, right? So, I think Eric, our buyer agent, closed over 30 transactions for us last year, which was about 25 to 30% of our production. So he handled a lot of that leverage piece. Which allowed us to do, I think, more of the activities. The thing about 2021 and 2020 is you were just running client servicing. And I think to a large degree, perhaps our customer service wasn't as good as it could have been or should have been at that time, right? Because you're just running. So a big thing for this year is elevating we're calling it hospitality right now because we're reading this book on reasonable hospitality. But elevating our level of service so that it is memorable, and then that those people feel compelled to introduce us to somebody that they know and love.
That's great.
And that service too, not just for the consumer, but also the people that work with us.
Yeah.
Elevating our service for them as well.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So what do you guys think? What do you guys see now as the greatest opportunity in real estate over the next 12 months?
People, bringing people onto the team, helping people reach their dreams and their goals.
Yeah, I think Cory's hitting it with people, right? Like people, a lot of agents are fearful right now because they haven't experienced a market that's this difficult, right? Or maybe they're just lonely, right? Going through the experience alone. So a huge opportunity for this year, I think, is mindset and skills, and surrounding yourself with people who have a great mindset, right? Is critical, because it's not going to be as easy as it was. So you damn sure better have somebody who can pat you on your back when you fall on your face, lift you up. And then the skills piece, right? Anybody over the last couple of years could get a call from somebody who wanted to sell a townhouse because they had an instant $100,000 in equity, and they could move up to a single family dream home and have almost the same monthly payment, right? That was a pipe dream that we all got to experience for 2 years. Cory, you actually missed it by like 6 months.
What's up?
Cory tried to buy last year, and he
he
got in at 6% instead of 3%. Just missed it.
It wasn't 6, Craig. It was 4.
So I think the opportunity is that we're entering a skills-based market. And if that sounds cliche or that sounds silly, well, I can assure you, like the quality of our conversations right now are directly impacted by our skills and knowing what questions to ask. And I've just been really trying to be purposeful in my own conversations and our conversation with the team about how do we make this conversation better, right? Because this good conversation it's not going to work right now, right? We have to have exceptional conversations right now to lead people through this process, which is a lot more confusing, right, than it was over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So it's one thing to say people, it's another to say to be more selective, with the people that are probably to follow suit with what you guys have learned over the last 3 years of relationships first, experience second, right? Like they're extensions of your values.
Mm-hmm.
Culture is one thing or another. And when you hire people that care at the level that you guys care, it works.
Yeah. You can't miss that piece, right? Like I love saying to our team, authenticity and skills is success. Like you can't have one and not the other, right? You can have all the skills in the world, but if you go into an appointment and you don't get to know the person and don't authentically care about the other person across from you, you're going to lose that listing or you're going to lose that buyer presentation. So yeah, authenticity and skills will be paramount.
Yeah, this has been great. I appreciate you guys sharing your story. Let's transition to a little bit about you. Either one of you. You guys watching any Netflix shows or series right now, or a certain movie that's caught your eye?
I just crushed. I'm late to the party, but I just crushed Ted Lasso. And it was, I thought this was going to be it is comedy. It is hilarious. But if you really listen to what they're saying, the entire show is about leadership and teamwork. And Ted Lasso bringing his values and his character to a team that needs it the most, a dysfunctional team, and bringing people together. And it's just, I have goosebumps just thinking about it, because there was one part in particular that it really clicked for me about leading people and guiding them to be the best versions of themselves. And yeah, that's a great show. I'd recommend it for anyone in leadership. You'll have a good laugh, but you'll learn a lot of lessons.
I love it. How about you, Drew?
I don't Netflix and chill.
What are your kids watching?
In the evening, I read growth books and try to. No, I'm just kidding. So a big.
Come on, Drew. I'm sure you're at home watching Frozen or something like that. Tell us the truth.
Yeah.
I know. My wife and I did enjoy White Lotus because it was exceptionally weird, and we just kept looking at each other and be like, "Wow, this is just outrageously weird." But shameless plug. I actually introduced Coach Jeremy to this, the All In podcast. It's you might have heard of it, but it's for venture capitalists, and they have a friendship and a banter that's kind of interesting. But I will say, like, a venture capitalist is sort of like the first person who's going to feel these changes in the economy. So they were predicting stuff in late 2021 that happened in 2022, right? So I think as real estate agents right now, it's really important to understand the macro stuff, and that's a great podcast. It's also fun to understand what's going on in the macro space.
I love it. You really don't like to talk about having fun, do you?
No, I do. I do have a lot of fun. I do like to have a lot of fun. I gave up drinking last year though, so I don't get drunk anymore.
Anyone that says I like to have a lot of fun doesn't have any fun.
I'm a dad, Craig. I'm a dad who gave up drinking. Like I just,
I'm a dad as well. What does that have to do with having fun?
Well, we love to play golf.
Okay.
It's too cold. It's too cold in Maryland right now to play golf. But here's something we did in 2022.
That would be fun. Why don't we do that? Why don't you go out and play one round of golf in the snow?
That is a great idea. I had an idea about golf. You have like something that attaches to the ball so you can still see it in the snow. But one thing that actually might help people for their businesses, we heard, I think it was Jason Abrams, who was like, I'm going back to business.
Going back to business.
No, business is fun.
Back to business. So, I should just cut you off. I mean, like, he just really died to talk about business. I love it. I love that you like to talk about business. I'm talking about having fun from your perspective.
No. This is what we did, though. This is what we did. We started a golf club last year. Every Wednesday, we had a golf club, which was for business, but we could say to our wives, we have a business appointment. We played 9 holes every Wednesday with our friends or vendors and past clients. It was great. Yeah. So lead generate in a way that's fun. That's fun, Craig.
There you go. Holy smokes. All right. So if either one of you or both could go back to when you were 18 or 20 years of age, what advice would you give to yourself?
Be curious in all things, and reading and listening and growing. I wasn't a very curious person. It took a hard turn in life from, in the form of losing my stepfather for me to really start getting curious about life and the impact that he made and the impact that I'm going to make. So I think start earlier.
Got it. How about you, Drew?
Craig said I wasn't fun, but I'm about to tell him how much fun I had when I was 18. What I would say to my 18-year-old self is don't smoke weed every day because you will not have any intentionality or focus, right? So go through life with some purpose instead of a complete lack of clarity and focus.
Sweet.
There's your fun.
That's it, man. Actually, I set a listing appointment yesterday with a bong maker, and the way that we connected, Craig, was I referenced a great bong maker from 20 years ago, and he appreciated that.
Look at that. He figured it out.
It's full circle. I have that appointment at 4:00 today, and I'm going to close him, even if it requires me.
No, it's not true.
I know this is really going to stump you right here. So if you could have any other profession besides real estate, what on earth would it be?
And like be good at it too. Like, because right now I'm probably not good at it, but author.
Answer the question.
It's just I'd love to write books. I'd love to tell stories. It would be an author, but I mean, I feel like I'm probably not that great at it right now. So if I could have any other
Just
career,
take that out. Take that out. All right, great. I love it. You'd be an author. And if you had to write a book tomorrow, what would you write about?
I'd write about my life. I'd write about a lot of the lessons learned. I'm just like every other person, you know. I grew up and went to school and, you know, played outside, this and that, and then going from sitting in the cube from 9 to 5 to have an experiential life and living a life by design. Like, there are steps to this. There are dots that you can connect. And yeah, it would just be sharing my story and having a conversation with myself. Yeah.
I think
right,
I'd be a
Drew.
golf.
I'm going to switch on you. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I would say, hopefully it's going to be what I am remembered for, which is just being generous to others. Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you both, Cory, Drew. It's been awesome. Thanks for joining us today. And especially thank you to our partner, ClarityNOW. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to get in the trenches with top real estate business owners who are winning and willing to share their lessons. Been great. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Greg.